You tell a story about your father in Vietnam during a downpour. I think a sergeant tells him, you're the wettest you're going to get. How is that, when you tell that story, even that moment, influenced how you lead under pressure?
Yeah, I mean, at some point, it's like you've heard the acronym WIFIO, right? We're fucked, it's over, right? That's it. Okay, it's over. But failing isn't failure. You're going to fail, you're going to fail. And so the story is, my dad would travel throughout Vietnam. He had permissive TDY orders. He'd go anywhere. He had a gunner, a driver, a Jeep. And, one day they're out and the monsoon hits and they're out in this primitive road. And so the road washes out. They're just stuck in mud. And the rain is just pouring. And they're not going to get to their hearing. The closest place they can get to is back to headquarters. And my dad was a former infantry guy, but he became a JAG lawyer for a reason. He didn't want to have to hump it through the rain and so they're like, hey, we're going to have to get off this road and walk back through the jungle. No one's coming for you, right? No one's coming to get you. You can just sit it out in the rain and wait to when the monsoon stops, or you can head back. So they headed back and he was complaining. And one of his sergeants, I believe it was the driver, just said, hey, sir, just stop your bitching. You're as wet as you are going to get. And, I think it wasn't Bob Marley, but somebody said, some people feel the rain, some just get wet. And I think, when it's pouring, it's going to pour. And I've been through something like that, recently, where it's all the bad things happen at once. And you're the leader. What are you going to do? Are you going to, say, hey, guys, I'm having a bad day? Maybe you should. I mean, sometimes I found that, hey, I need to take a little time off. I need to back off. Because if I'm front facing and I'm bringing some negative energy, I'm pretty intense, but I try to keep it positive. But if I'm bringing negative energy into the organization, then I'm getting wet, right? I'm getting wet and I'm getting everybody wet around me. And that's not good for the organization. And that can, undermine the organization's confidence in the leader. So sometimes you got to step back and say, hey, I'm as hard as they come, right? I'm like, I got to back off and say, wait a minute. This is affecting me. This is affecting my decision-making. And leaders make decisions. And if I'm coming in here and something in my personal life is affecting my ability to make a decision, then I need to back off, let my leaders step up, put them in charge, and let them lead. And sometimes that's the best thing you can do for the organization. In the perfect world, no, it's planned. You hear all this stuff. No, you plan to go on a vacation. Let your second in command lead. You'll be on the beach. It'll be cool. You'll be relaxed. They'll be running the company, and you can check in, and that'll give them a chance to lead. But see, that's not how it happens in real life. Because in real life, you're too addicted to the game, right? You want to keep winning. You're not going to step away. I know you were able to do a sabbatical. I know you were able to. I don't have that discipline. It was like, no, wait a minute. I had the self-awareness to say, whoa, I'm not coming from a good place here. And I had some, junior leaders say, hey, we got this. We got this. You need to deal with this issue. And here's the thing. And I think, for most of us leaders, and I think any high performer would tell you that, it's really easy. Like I own my mistakes. When I screw something up, I have no problem taking accountability for it. What I cannot stand is when there is something that I didn't play a part in. I can't take the blame for it. I mean, I try to, right? I try to find a reason why it's my fault. And then I'll have people tell me, John, there's nothing you could have done. That was not your fault, right? But I still have to deal with the consequences. Oh, I hate that, right? Because if the look, I have no shortage of self-inflicted wounds here. I do stupid stuff all the time, and I can live with that because I learn from it and I accept it. But it gets tough when something happens, and as much as you try to say, oh, it's on me, everybody around you is going, John, it's not on you. This has nothing to do with you. This has to do with somebody else and a decision somebody else made, and this has affected whatever. And so you have to deal with that. And, internally, but I'm so used to being in control. I'm not a victim. I don't believe in the word fair. And yet there are things that are out of our control that we have to accept, right? And so I found, at that time, and once again, there's no need to get into specifics, but when you find yourself in that time, I think it's really easy to assert your power and authority and to go in there and just start slitting throats, right? Have the red wedding but that doesn't show power. Sometimes real power is restraint and doing nothing. And what I found, what I've always heard is the rotten apple always falls off the tree. And what I found is that, sometimes when something bad happens, the best thing you can do is do nothing. That's the old thing like your parents would say, if you're a kid and everybody was making fun of you and they'd say, hey, the best thing you can do is to just be successful. Don't worry about getting even with them. Don't worry about saying something back to them. Don't worry about hurting them back. Just be successful. that will hurt them more than anything. And the truth is that wasn't true. They don't care whether you're successful or not. But in the end, it sure makes us feel good. But we need to feel good about ourselves, right? But I do appreciate the gesture. So I got to tell you that leaders all go through dark times. And one of my good friends, Channing Walker, I just had him on my show, former 7th Group Special Forces guy, great dude, has a couple companies now. And he, when I went through this, he's like, hey, we need to meet up. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, man, we need to meet up. And I'm like, why? He's like, well, everybody goes through stuff, but I just want to meet up with you. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, he kept calling, checking in, and he wouldn't say like, are you okay? Right? Everybody says, are you okay? He's like, hey, are you eating? Are you working? How much sleep you getting? You working out? And I had just had my neck surgery, 3 discs replaced, and I still have some issues with my arm and stuff. And it's like, no, I'm not working out. He's like, dude, we got to get together. And that dude literally hunted me down and found me to hang out, and it was like, we're hanging out. And I think leaders show up. And I think that's really important. If you have somebody on your team that's struggling, show up for them. Show up at their house. I used to do that for my soldiers. I'd check up on them. I'd show up at their house. What's going on? Always show up. And then some people show up in different ways. I know I got from Michael and Jessica Mogill, the Giftology, the K-bar with my name inscribed on. I'm holding it up for the video. Great, thoughtful gift, not to incite violence, but to encourage peace. This was to cut vegetables.
For cutting vegetables, yeah.
For cutting vegetables, right? Relieving stress. But the point is, I think that's the thing is, as a leader, we have to show up for our team. And I think sometimes it shows you the level of your relationships with your peers, with your subordinates, even your bosses, when things happen, who shows up for you? Because that's a great metric. So I appreciate you and Jessica showing up. And I know that we've had heated moments, but I appreciate the kind gesture. And as I said, you definitely won Giftology there, right? Hey, send the right thing. I think the thing was sent overnight after we talked, and I'm like, whoa. So sometimes you're going to be as wet as you're going to get. And for me, the physical injury and had a difficult time coming back, personal thing that was beyond my control, which once again, if I screw something up, all day long, I'm good with it. But when it's not me, man, that's tough. So dealing with that, I realized like, hey, I'm not in the right headspace right now. We've got some important decisions to make. Let me pull back and let the team slingshot forward. And that's what happened. And so I took a little time and, I was as wet as I was going to get. And I realized, you know what, let's dry off, preferably in a warmer climate, and come back. And that really helped. And I got to tell you, you come back to the leadership team and everybody's pumped up. It's like, wow. It lifts you up. And I think comes back to you can't change the people in your life, but you can change who you hang out with. And so I was really proud of how the leadership team handled it. And so once again, maybe it proves all the philosophies and theories in the book, which was that I had the leaders who stepped up, who grew the organization in my absence. But I mean, these things happen. We all know bad things are going to happen, but they just never happen the way we think they're going to happen. So like, for instance, in your business this year, Michael, I mean, I'm sure by now at least one bad thing has happened. I can remember I was at the end.
What time is it, right? It's like...
Yeah, what time is it? I mean, I remember it was January. Yeah. I was like, January this year. I'm like, okay, we just started Q1 and I've already made a $100,000 mistake. Bam, within the first week. That's what this is going to cost me. Yep, that was dumb. And I mean, that's, the goal is to be able to make the $1 million mistakes, the $10 million mistakes, because that's how big we become. But as a leader, you're going to get wet and it's going to keep coming and people are going to look at you. How do you respond when your world falls apart? Look, it's real easy when you're in charge and you make the mistake to say, hey, this is on me. I got it, guys. I made a bad decision. Let's walk this back. This is a learning opportunity, but this is on me. Point the thumb, right? Not the finger. And then the book, when I was taking responsibility for everything, then the leaders always say, John's got it. John's got it. John's got it. Oh, the coffee's out. John's got it. No, you can't be that type of leader. You show up. You have to have impact when you show up. So you have to decide, how am I going to show up? And when I show up, what is the desired end state of that impact that I'm going to have on the individuals that I want to influence? And as leaders, we're constantly influencing the team around us, whether we want to or not. Our actions are magnified. Our words are magnified. And you can say something and not even think anything of it, and that you may have ruined a team member's weekend, or you may have made their year. It's a couple words.